It's All Today live from the couch.
It's one of the key issues in the upcoming presidential election, jobs. In New York City and New Jersey, the unemployment rate is at nearly 10%.
Yep, and for a growing number of people, it's not just about finding work, it's about finding the right job that fits their situation.
Career expert and organizational psychologist Dr. Michael Woodward, also known as Dr. Woody, is the author of The U Plan, and he's here on the couch. Good morning, Dr. Woody.
Good morning, good to be here.
What's the biggest challenge people face?
I think right now the fact is this, is that like you mentioned, we're nearly 10% unemployment here in the city, 8.1% nationally. The fact is the Great Recession's really fundamentally changed the employment landscape, so people have to start thinking more entrepreneurially. And you have to take that entrepreneurial mindset and really open your mind to opportunities, because it's no longer about chasing jobs, it's about how do you create an opportunity for yourself.
Well, what about people who are looking for part-time work? You know, there are moms out there, there are also seniors who may not want to retire fully. What do you suggest they do?
Yeah, well, for part-time, especially for moms right now, this is the season. Kids have gone back to school, so you now have a little bit extra time to do that search. The fact is this, think about this flexible work, which is part-time work or telecommuting or even full-time schedules, but part-time at home to give you that flexibility. That type of work is on the rise. Nearly 20 to 30 million people work at least 1 day a week from home, and nearly 3 million people consider home their primary office, and these are not self-employed folks. So opportunities in the flexible work world can be best found on places like flexjobs.com, where you can find even jobs in accounting, where you could do books or accounting type work for a small business. The medical field is particularly growing, especially nurses or home care, or even coordinating it from home. But you can do part-time and flexible schedules, especially when it comes to home health care aides or claims or customer service. All those can be flexible or telecommuting.
Now, the market is also tough for college graduates.
Yes.
That we've seen. Now, what is this thing called gigging? Explain what this is.
Right, because think of this. Just last year, 1 out of every 2 college kids under the age of 25, or I should say college grads, couldn't find a job or had to work involuntarily part-time. So what are they doing? They're being more creative, and they're doing this thing called gigging, which is essentially slang for short-term project-based type work where you cobble together a bunch of different, quote, gigs and create your own career path, because those conventional 9-to-5 jobs aren't necessarily out there right now, so you got to kind of find a variety of them, but within a theme, so you create your own career track.
It's basically freelancing, and you can get your contacts that way too.
It's a foot in the door, but it's also a way to generate income. And according to a survey from elance.com that's going to be released next week, they found that 46% of millennials are actually freelancing full-time. And nearly 60% of freelancers saw a rise in their income this year over last year. So it is a good opportunity.
You know, the thing that is saddening to me, though, is when you gig or freelance or part-time, you know, you don't get the health benefits, you don't get the other, you don't get the other net that full-time employment or a career, full career. What about changing careers? What about taking it a whole different direction?
Yeah, that can be tough. And the real challenge when you have career changers is that translating your skills from what you used to do into what you're going to do. In other words, you don't want to step back and start over, right? And start at the bottom if you don't have to. And the best way to do that is to step back and think about, how do I take the core of what I do and translate that into the new industry? And onet.org is a great place to look, because they have a career crosswalk, which can help you figure out, how do I translate what I did here into this new industry that I don't know much about, but you may still have the right skill sets, you just don't know the language of the industry. So you got to figure out the lingo, so you speak that language when you're interviewing, or at least just getting to know those folks.
Now, Dr. Woody, we do have to talk about people who have been out of work for a while. You say there are jobs out there. What are people doing wrong in their searches?
And I don't know if it's so much that they're doing things wrong. I think the challenge with long-term unemployment is it can be psychologically paralyzing. When you lose your job after you've been doing it for maybe 20 or 30 years, that daily ritual, your routines, the stuff that's normal to you, the socialization, your contacts, all of a sudden you get kind of paralyzed and you crawl up into a shell because you just don't know what to do. It's a huge shock. So one of the things that I'm finding is you got to help people get out of that. And I don't mean to sound like the preachy psychologist here, but it's true. Is how do you kind of knock people out of that funk? And one of the things is to make sure that even though it's hard to do, when you're out there, you know, still trying to find a job and it's been maybe over 6 months, start volunteering. Find part-time opportunities that you may not have done before. Engage in any kind of social activities or events that you can. You got to find ways to keep your mind activated and be out there among everybody that are doing stuff, because it is so critical. Otherwise, what happens is we all become victims of living in our own head.
It's true.
Right.
And you downward spiral that way. So you got to find ways to get out there, but engage your friends and family. Start there.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Dr. Woody, thank
That's
you so much for
great
being
advice.
here.
Or Pastor
Be
Woody.
involved.
Maybe we'll call him Pastor Woody too.
Pastor
Yes.
Woody. No, Dr. Woody, thank you for those tips. Those were really
Sure.
great. Thank you.